in the last month, I've had 2 transformational experiences when I viewed art. The first one.
Don't, Charles, please, bro.
No, it's not. I promise it's not. I promise it's not. Do you trust me?
My finger's on the button, Charles.
No. I trust.
Okay.
Fingers on the button.
The first one, I'm being dead serious, was when I walked into the Sistine Chapel and I looked up at that fucking painting and I was like, fuck, goddamn. Right. I was just like,
for those uninitiated, we were worried that Black Adam was going to make an appearance here.
I was about to say,
I honestly wanted to switch it to Black Adam so much.
I know you were.
But I didn't. When I looked at the Sistine Chapel, it was like one of those moments where you look at art and you're like, my problems are insignificant. Humans are capable of so much beauty. I love being alive in this world. And the second time I was transformed by art was watching Luthen's speech.
Mm-hmm.
It kept getting better. It was like every single time I thought it was going to end and I'm like, this is the greatest shit ever. And then he would say a new line where I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, what type of TV show? Like, the reason it was so electric to me, so like just alchemy to me, is because we see Skarsgård doing what I think no Star Wars thing has ever done, showing you the actual toll of a rebellion. Luthen tells them, like, I've had to use the enemy's weapons to do what I'm doing. He's destroyed emotionally. His soul is destroyed. He's not coming out of this alive. Mm-hmm. He's given everything to his dream. This is it. It's destroyed him. He's just as evil as the Empire, but he doesn't care. Because to win freedom on this scale, he's willing to do what has to be done for the galaxy. And I cannot, like, I want to hear y'all, but when I watched that, this was an amazing episode. Circus killed it. Diego Luna killed it. But that speech where I was like, this is why the Midnight Boys exist. This is why fandom exists. This is why I do this. I love this fucking episode.
So what Luthen's speech did was something that's very difficult to do. Luthen's speech created, in my opinion, like an unmissable watershed moment in Star Wars fandom. It made this show, to me, an unmissable, essential piece of Star Wars fandom. Luthen explained the reason why the show Andor exists. He explained it. That speech, not necessarily, that wasn't its intention, but very rarely in a piece of art, in a piece of movie, media, television, movie, whatever, do you get a scene that so clearly gives you the reason why a show exists and why it's important, especially in a prequel when we know how the story ends. The difference between the heroes that we first met and the heroes that we're meeting now is that the heroes we first met get to win.
Mm.
Like, so the stories that we followed, Han, even Anakin, who lives to see the death of the emperor, right? Han, Leia, Chewie, the core of those guys, like, they get to win. And that changes their existence. Like, fundamentally. Of course, we have sequel movies where there's some losses, but fundamentally their existence is changed. Their existence it's hinged upon, like, that speech that Luthen gave, it challenges hope. Either it challenges hope or it punches steroids into hope, depending on the way that you look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because the hope that you would have to have in order to strip your existence down into what he stripped his down to, with the words that he said, it would have to be all hope or all hate or all rage or all understanding, all love or all hate. But it's an absolute for sure. And we didn't really get to exist in absolutes with the original Star Wars. We had people that, they hated the Empire, but they loved Darth Vader in terms of Luke Skywalker, right? Sure, there were
you mean Anakin?
or excuse me, I'm talking about Anakin.
Oh,
I'm talking about Luke
loving Anakin. Yeah, I got you.
Luke, like they had the Empire, but we loved a lot. We've been taught in Star Wars that absolutes are evil. This show exists completely in the gray area of what you are willing to do. You can't be absolute good. You can't be absolute evil in this world. There is just a mission and mission accomplishment. So to me, watching Luthen contextualize what we're watching when we're watching this this beginning of the rebellion stuff. We're watching the people who have to lose. We're watching the people who have to come to terms with loss. We're watching the people who don't get to see the celebration with the Ewoks on Endor. They never even get there. They don't even get close to that. There are no songs for them. There's no remembrance for them. There's no nothing. And in every struggle, everywhere, those people exist. Everywhere. They don't write no songs about them. They just gotta fucking get to it.
You don't get to be a Force ghost.
Right. And you don't get none of that. And like he's looking at that guy and he's really telling him, yo, man, Lonnie. By the way, just to have a nigga in Star Wars named Lonnie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I look at all the names that they have. Like,
this guy's getting his ass handed to him named Lonnie.
Lonnie? You thought you were going to, you know what I'm saying? Lonnie? Come on, Lonnie. It's like, he's looking at him. He's like, yo, how dare you?
He doesn't need to say how dare you, because like everything that he calls this is just like, this is the laundry list of what I've given.
Yeah. So, but that's
right. You were spitting. Man, this shit brought a different side at you.
Nah, man. Like, yo, I'm gonna keep it like Andor is that shit, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Andor is that shit, man. And like this shit, I can't, like, I ran this shit back 3 times. I'm like, I know they not fucking with me like this. You know what I mean? Like, Andor is that shit, man. I'm not gonna hold you.
And think about when like they strategically use and show us this moment in Luthen's arc. When like he's telling us all of these things that he's sacrificed in parallel to a prison break, in parallel to people knowing that people aren't going to get out. We see people get shot down. We see bodies pile on top of each other so that thousands can leave. We see bodies pouring out into the water in that prison, and we see one guy who can't make it. One guy who won't get to see what freedom looks like. And then we see Luthen being like, I know exactly what my score is. I'm damned for what I do. Yeah. And I know that I won't see that sunrise. And it's like, it's exactly the right place to show that, because we have seen so many people lay down their lives just to show everybody what that hope could look like, to see what everybody else can do in the face of all of that. And it's such a perfectly poetic episode. Like, we don't really need that much like dialogue or plot when we have Luthen basically giving us the thesis of what we have just seen go down in this prison.
Jones?
You guys are just telling the truth right now. You know, I burned my decency for someone else's future. I burned my life to make a sunrise I know I'll never see. And the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. It doesn't get better than that, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you think he wrote that? Do you think he like prepared that shit? Or was he just like
straight off the dome? You know what I'm saying?
Mixtape.
No, this was mixtape Wayne level.
Yeah,
He's like, nah,
like,
bro,
you know
it's for me in the booth.
Steve, don't ruin Luthen's speech, bro.
I'm not trying to ruin Luthen's speech. I was just like, it's so good.
He was not out there taking notes.
Steve saw one of his own having a moment, and he's like, not on my watch.
Steve, don't ruin Luthen's speech, bro. Like, Luthen was reading off teleprompter, or like the lady that works in the shop was behind him going,
where he's got like the notepad. Sunrise
like it's
that we'll never see. Like,
that's his life. That's his life he's talking about. Go ahead, Joan. I'm sorry.
No, you're straight. And in that moment, you're just like, yeah, this is real life. Like, this is what we're here for. And even with all that, in this same episode, we still got one way out. One way out. One way out. You got to think about it. You know how that Luthen speech was so good, so clever, so well done. You forget that 15 minutes ago, Andy Serkis was in that booth spinning. You forget that Andy Serkis and Diego Luna were carrying. We're putting the people on their backs to get them out of that prison. What an episode of television. We're lucky. I feel so lucky to exist at the same time as this show. Thank you, Tony Gilroy. You didn't have to bless us like this. And yet here we are.